So recording is started, and let me share the screen as well. Okay, as of now, you can see the screen as well, right? Please let me know if you are able to see my screen or not. Everyone?
Yes, Ajay.
Yeah, perfect. Right. So let's check what we have learned yesterday. Okay. So first topic we have gone through the introduction of Java. So in that we have covered. Okay, who has developed the Java? That is the James Gosselin has developed the Java for the company Sun Microsystem, and that particular company is taken over by the Oracle. Right. Initial version of the Java is 1.0, and now latest version is 22. Right. Then we have covered the components of the Java. In that we have covered the three major components of the Java. So first component is the JDK, JRE, and JVM. These are the three main components of the Java that we have covered, right, in detail. Right. Then we have covered the features of the Java. Okay, so what are the different features available in Java, right? So we have covered those major features. Okay, and then we have check what is meant by main method. Okay, we have covered the main method in detail. Right. So this is something we have covered in previous session. Okay. So now let's begin with the this particular session, current session. So in that we are going to start with the first data types. Okay. So let me share the slide. Okay. So now what is mean by data type? Okay. So basic we'll see the theoretically what is meant by data type, and then we'll see the practically as well. Okay. So first of all, data types. Okay. So data types is representing type of variable. Now, what is meant by variable? So, but first of all, data type is used to represent the type of variable. That means which type of variable you are having, right? So, what is meant by variable? So, variable means you can say the container, okay, where we can store the value. The container where we can store the value. So, for example, if I want to store 10, right, or if I want to store some value, right, 10, right. Now, for this storing this particular value, I need one variable. So let's say I have created one variable is equal to a is equal to 10. But in Java, you have to specify type, you have to specify the type of that particular variable as well. Okay. Now, this is something called as the variable. This is the variable in which I am storing this value 10. In this variable, I am storing the value 10. But in Java, if you are declaring any variable, right, you have to specify the type of Java, because Java is the strictly type language, right? So you have to strictly provide the type of that particular variable. So for example, I see, I'm storing here number, right? So I can say like, this is my, I can say like, this is my int variable, right? So I can provide the type integer. We will cover what is meant by int and all. Okay, but this is how. Okay, so this particular thing is called as the data type. This particular thing is called as the, because if you are having this variable, okay, for this variable, this is the type. Okay, for this variable, a int is the type. This is called as the type. Okay. So if you are going to store any value, you are going to store the value inside the variable. Okay, and every variable is required their type. You have to specify the type of each and every variable. Right. So first definition that we have covered. Okay, what is meant by variable? Variable is the used to represent type of variable. Sorry, data type. Okay, what is data type? Data type is used to represent type of variable. Data type is used to represent type of your variable. Okay, so variable is used to store the value. So basically, you can say the variable is a container. Okay, so variable is a container in which we can store the value. Variable is the container in which you can store the value. Now, if you are storing the value in any variable, you should compulsory provide the type of that particular variable. You should provide the type of that particular variable. Okay, now why it is necessary? Okay, and what is the advantages you are getting, or what is the benefits you are getting by giving the type, or what is the benefits Java is getting, if you are declaring this type. Okay, so first benefit or first thing, it help to decide the memory. That means if I am creating any variable and I'm providing the type, it will give me idea of how much memory it will require for this particular variable. Okay. So for example, we are creating one variable. Okay, so this is the first variable that I have created, variable A, right? So I'm saying like this variable is of type int. Okay, so now what Java has done? Java has decided the fixed size if you are declaring the integer. Okay, so because this is the type, if you are declaring this type of variable, Java said like you will require the fixed size of memory. So let's say 4 byte. Okay, for the integer it will require the 4 byte. Okay, similarly if you are saying like I'm creating the float variable, right? So for the float variable as well, Java has predefined. Okay, if you are creating the float variable, it will require again fixed size. Okay, if you are creating any boolean variable, right? For that as well, it will require the fixed size. So for each and every type, depending on what type of variable you are going to create, Java will allocate some memory. It will reserve some memory. When your compilation is done. Okay, as soon as compilation is done, it will say like you are having like this 10 variable. Okay, first variable is type of int. For int, it will require 4 byte. It will reserve the 4 byte. Second one is, let's say you are having double. For the double, it will require the 8 byte. So it will reserve the 8 byte. So likewise, it will reserve memory for all the variable depending on which type of variable you have created. So type is important. Why? Because it will help to decide the how much memory is required. It will decide or it will help to decide how much memory is required. Okay, so this is the first advantage of having the data types. Okay, because of data type, you will get the idea how much memory is required. So this is the first point. Second point, because of data type, you'll get how much range, okay, or what is the range between I can store the value. Okay, so for example, I'm having byte variable, right? So byte variable. Okay, for the byte, there is predefined range is available as well. Okay, so for example 0 to let's assume. Okay, I'm not telling actual ranges. Okay, here because we'll see actual ranges on next slide. Okay, but what is meant by range? Okay, so let's say I'm having one variable of type byte, right? And I'm saying like this is the b is equal to, let's say, 10. Okay, now when this particular variable is created of type which byte the byte type of variable is created, it will have some ranges as well. Okay, so let's assume for this. Okay, this is not actual range I'm telling here. Okay, but let's assume it is storing value from the 0 to 10, like that. Okay, so based on what type of variable you are creating, you will have some range. Okay, what is mean by range now? Range means you can store the number in between this range. You can store the number in between range. Okay, if you are having byte, it will have their predefined range. Okay, if you are having short, it will have their predefined range. Okay, within that range, you can store the value inside the variable. Within that range, you can store the value in that variable. Okay, and how it will define that particular range depending on which type of variable you are using. Okay, so type is very important. Okay, so first uses or first thing, that is it will help to decide the memory, and second thing, it will help to decide the ranges. Okay, so these are the two major advantages of your data type. Your data type. Okay, so the data type is used to represent the type of variable. Okay, it is going to represent the type of variable. Okay, so now this particular data type is having again their types. Okay, there are two major types available in the data types. Okay, so first one is the primitive data type, and second one is the, we can say, the non-primitive or reference type of data. Okay, so first one is the primitive data type, and second one is the non-primitive data type. Okay, first one is the primitive data type, and second one is the non-primitive data types available. Okay, so now let's focus on primitive data type. What is meant by primitive data type? Okay, so for that I will go to the next slide. Okay, primitive data types. So there are 8 primitive data types available. Okay, which are those? If you see here, okay, these are the data types available: byte, short, int, long, float, double, character, and boolean. Okay, so these are the 8 data types available inside the Java. Okay, 8 data type of which type? primitive data types. So there are 8 primitive data types available in Java. You can say there are 8 primitive data types available in Java. Okay, these are only 8. Okay, so now if you see in this particular chart, okay, for each and every type, okay, for each and every type, there are fixed size available. Okay, if you see for the byte, it will require 1 byte of memory for the byte. So all the sizes here given in the form of byte. Okay, so for byte, it will require 1 byte. For the short, it will require 2 bytes. For the int, it will require the 4 byte. For the long, it will require the 8 byte. Okay, for the float, it will require the 8 byte. For the double, it will require the 8 byte. And for the character, it will require how much? 8 byte. Okay, so you should aware of these sizes. Okay, for the boolean, it will require not require any size. Okay, so sizes is very important. You should know the sizes of the each and every data type. Okay, so you can go through this particular slide and you can find out. I mean, for the if you are having long, right, 8 byte is required. Right. So you should remember this slide. Okay, sorry, size. Now, as I said, okay, data type, because of data type, you will get help to decide the memory. Okay, so here we can see sizes is available so that it will help to decide the memory. So if I'm creating one long variable, right, so that means 8 byte is going to occupy. If I'm going to create the float, right, so that means it is going to occupy the 4 byte, right? So next statement, what I said, okay, because of your data type, it will help to decide the ranges as well. It will help to decide the ranges as well. Now, if you see, each and every data type is having their own ranges available here. Each and every data type is having their own ranges available. Okay. Now, if you see for the byte, it's saying like, inside the byte, you can store the value from -128 to 127. For the byte, you can store the value in from the -128 to 127. Okay, if you are declaring any byte variable. Okay. Now, if you are declaring any short variable, in that case, what will happen? Okay, it will have the size, I mean range from the -32768 to 32767. Okay. Now, see, it's not necessary you have to remember this all the ranges, right? It's not necessary to you guys, but see, it will help to decide the ranges. That's the topic we are covering only. It's not necessary because see how you can remember this particular number if I'm saying like long, right? So no need to remember this numbers, right? But you should remember that each and every data type, okay, is having their valid ranges. Okay, so these are the valid ranges available. Okay, for this particular int, this is the range. For the long, this is the range. For the float, okay, I have to say like I have said here, like it will store the single precision value, and for the double, it's storing the double precision value. Now, what is the single precision and double precision? Okay, now single precision means it's a standard defined by the IEEE. Okay, this is the standard defined by the IEEE to store the numbers, okay, or to store the floating point number. Okay, it will occupy the 32-bit of size. 32-bit means 4 byte. 32-bit means 4 byte. Okay, so it is standard defined by the IEEE. It is standard defined by the IEEE to storing the number. Okay, now what is the double precision? Again, it is standard defined by the IEEE. Okay, but it will occupy the 64 bits of memory. 64-bit means 8 byte. Now it will require the 64-bit. Now see, there are very complex calculation, okay, to decide the single precision. What is the number for the single precision and what is the number for the double precision? If you see, I will just quickly show here. Okay, if I go here, let's for here. Okay, so now if you see, this is the how they are calculating the single precision value. Okay, so for the single, first one is the first byte will be for the sign, plus or minus. Okay, second is for the exponent, and third is one for the mantis. Okay, so mantis, I believe everyone have learned mantis like 10th, 12th, right? 10 to 12. Their Mantis program is there, right? So this kind of calculation will required. Okay, and for the double precision, okay, so this is the double precision calculation. So I will say don't go in that particular calculation. Okay, keep it simple. Okay, this is no one going to ask you, okay, how to calculate the single precision, how to calculate the double precision. Okay, if you want to compare these values, this kind of calculator will be available. Okay, so for example, I want to calculate the single, what is the single precision value will come. I will just convert from this particular calculator. I will tell you, okay, once we start with the program, I will tell you when it will, we need to do the consideration these values. Okay, but as of now, just remember for the let's say, just remember that for the float, it will store the value inside the single precision. For the float, it will store the value inside the single precision. And for the double, it will store the value in the double precision. Okay. And what is the single precision, double precision? It is standard defined by the IEEE. Okay. So for the float, it will occupy the 32-bit. And for the double, it will occupy the 64-bit memory. Right. Now for the character. Okay. So for character, it will store the Unicode. Okay, it will store the Unicode. There is no ranges. Okay, but if you are saying I'm going to store the C, right? So it is going to store the Unicode character of that particular C. Okay, for the character, it will require 1 byte, and in that 1 byte, it is going to store the Unicode of that particular character. Now you will say, what is Unicode, sir? Right? So if you say I have opened this particular Unicode chart as well. Okay, so for example, if you are storing the A, right? So Unicode for the A is the 797. If you are storing the B, right? So Unicode for the B is the 98. If you are storing the C, right? Small c, right? So Unicode is the 99. Say if you are storing the capital A, then different Unicode is required. If you are storing the capital B, different Unicode is required, right? Unicode, or you can say the ASCII values, right? So these are the Unicodes available here, or these are the ASCII values are available for the these particular letters. Okay. Now there are different signs as well, right? So let's say plus sign, minus sign, let's say percentile, or these are the different signs, right? The dollar symbol is there, right? Asterisk symbol is there, and symbol is there, right? So all these symbols are also having their ASCII values, right? So these ASCII values we are going to store when I was saying, like, I'm storing the character, right? So first of all, character will store only single character. Character will store only single character, and it will be stored in the form of Unicode character. It will be stored in the form of Unicode character. Okay. So now this particular topic as well, we will see, I mean, how actually Unicode looks like, how we can print the Unicodes of the number, or Unicode of the character, right? And for the Boolean, okay, for the Boolean, what it is going to store? It is going to store true or false value. Okay, only two value it is going to store. That is the true and false, true and false. It is going to store. Okay, but now here, if you see size, what size is required for the storing the true and false? No, any size, right? That means size is not required. Okay, size is not required. Okay, no size is required for the storing the Boolean value. All right. So in this chart we have seen, okay, different data types. Okay, sizes required for the data types and ranges required for the data types. Okay. Now, now each and every variable or data types is having some default value there. Okay. Now what is meant by default value? Default value means if you are not giving any value, okay, or if you are creating one any variable without giving any value, without initializing value, right? So in that case, it will take the default value. So these are the default value available for each and every data type. So for the short, default value is 0. So for all the, I mean, value from the byte to long, it will take the default value 0. For the floating point, it will take the 0 0.0. See, float means what? You have to store the number in decimal point. Okay, so it will take the number in the form of decimal. Okay, and for the double, it will take the numbers in the form of decimal, but it will take little big, right? So if you see size is more, so it will store the big number, right? So If you want to store the big number, you can store it into the byte. If you want to store the small number, you can store it into the float, right? But default size is for both 0.0 and 0.0, right? So this is how it will work. Okay, so now let's go to our program. Okay, so here what we will do, we'll create one separate program. Okay, so how to create the separate class? Anyone? How to create the separate class?
Go to the new and then select the class. Go
Correct.
to package.
Go to the new, select class. Right.
Set class.
Here you can give the name. Okay, so I'm giving the
Okay.
name data type in Java. Let's say data type in Java, and I have to add the main method as well, because see,
Okay.
execution is started from the main method and it will execute whatever code written inside the main method. So that's the reason main method is required, right? So I'm taking the main method here, right? So now first we have seen like byte. Okay. Okay. So first we have seen the byte. So how to create the byte variable? Anyone knows? You have to say byte. So let's say b is equal to. So you are going to give any value, right? So for example, I'm going to store here as 10, right? And you can print it as well. Okay. So how to print? You have to say the b. Okay, byte b, or I will say byte b like this. Byte byte b is equal to. So let's say plus b. Plus b means I'm just concatenating this particular string with this particular value. So this is called as the concatenation, right? So we'll cover this as well. Okay, don't worry. And if you see, I'm printing the value of byte, whatever I have stored, that I'm printing here. Okay, now what I said like you about this particular byte, if you go to the chart uh, that we have seen. Okay, so this is the chart, right? So here what I said, look, byte will require the 1 byte of size, right? So I'm creating 1 byte variable, it will take 1 byte of size, right? It will store require the 1 byte of size. But apart from this, it is having some ranges as well. So what is that range? It is -128 to 127. Right, -128 to 127. So for example, I have stored here 10, right? So see, I have stored here 10, right? So can I able to store like 127, right? So I'm able to store the 127 as well here. All right, if I run this, it will print the 127. Can I store here 128? No, it will give the immediately error. Why? Because see, for the byte, ranges is defined. Ranges is, I mean, they have, I mean, specific ranges, right? So in that ranges only, you are going to store the value. Okay, so 128 is not coming in the byte range. So that's the reason it's giving the error, right? Can I store the negative number? So let's say negative 128. So negative 128 inside the range. So I can store that negative 128. All right. So let's say if I increase the, I mean, if I say like, I can store the -1, I can store the -1 as well. So see, -1 will be the get printed because this is coming inside the range, right? So positive plus negative, both the number you can store, but within the range only. Within the range only. If you are having outside the range, it is not going to work for you. Right. Okay, so this is about the byte. Okay, so similarly, byte we can have short as well, right? So how to do the create the short variable? So you have to say what short. So let's say I'm saying s is equal to. So let's say I'm storing some value, right? So make
Hello.
sure you are yes, please.
Hi, sir. Uh, Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
sir. Sorry, actually, I am a bit late today due to
Mm-hmm,
some work. I just
mm-hmm,
joined the
mm-hmm,
class.
mm-hmm.
Can you please tell me just brief what we are doing right now?
Okay, so see, we are we have so far what we have done, we have seen like what is meant by data type. Okay, and there are two different types of data type available, that is the primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Okay, so in primitive data type there are 8 different data types available, right? So we are going through that 8 data type. Okay, so those eight data types, we are seeing like how to create those eight data type.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
If you want, you can connect with me after the session. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I will brief you about the what we have covered so far.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. So now short as well, you can create the short variable. Now see, if I'm having byte, right? So what is the need of short? It's a logical question, right? So anyone knows the answer? If I'm having byte, then why we need the short?
Because the range of the byte is less than short.
Right, right. So byte is having limited range, but if I want to store number beyond that particular range, I will use the short, right? Okay. So short will require how much memory? Again, you can go to the chart and see how much memory is required for the short.
2
Short
bit,
is required the
2 byte.
two byte, right? So it will
Byte.
require the 2 byte, two two byte. It will require 2 byte, and for this, it will require how much?
1 byte.
Byte. Okay. So someone can say like see, it is having very limited range, right? So why should not we use this particular every time, right? Because see, always you have to think from the point of view that you have to save the memory. You should not use the unnecessary memory, because in project, so it will impact on your project performance as well, right? So let's say I'm having particular program where I'm declaring age, for example. Okay. So for the age, I don't think like the people is, I mean, nowadays have the age beyond like 128, right? So I can create the byte variable in that case, because it will save my memory, right? Okay. But there can be, I mean, always exception. So let's go with the short. Okay. So this kind of thinking you should have. Okay. So what kind of variable I'm creating for the age? Okay. So byte is fine. Okay. For the, I mean, if you are having a little bit more requirement or more number you want to store, or more, I mean, big number you want to store, right? So in that case, you are going to store it with the help of short, right? After short, like you are having requirement, okay, bigger number from the short as well, right? So in that case, you are going to store inside the int, but remember, for the int it will require the 4 byte. Okay, double from this. Okay, it will require 2 byte, and for the int it will require the 4 byte. So I will say int I. Okay, and I is equal to, let's say, some number. Okay, for this is the number, for example. Okay, so this number we are going to store inside the int. Okay, so if you want, you can print as well. Okay, how to print? So you have to say system.out.println. Okay, so this particular statement is for the printing the message on console. If you print, you can print the message inside the console with the help of this particular line. All right. So I will say print int. So I will say this is the int, and I will say I is equal to I. Right. So similarly, you can print the number. Which kind of number? Long, right? So you can have the next thing, that is the long. Okay, and for the long as well, you can create one variable and you can say print some integer number. See, here you are not allowed to store the floating value, right? So if I'm storing this kind of value, right, so it will not allow me. It will give immediately error. Why? Because you are storing the number which is having decimal point. So this is the decimal point for me, right? So this kind of number, it's not going to store. Only integer number it's going to store here, right? So again, you can create the long variable, and for the long variable, size is required how much? 8 byte, right? So if you are having requirement, you have to store very big number, right? It's a very big number, right? So in that case, you are going to store in the long, right? Because see, it will require the 8 byte. Okay, if you are not having that much of requirement, you can go with the int, right? So it will ultimately save your 4 bytes if you go with the int, right? So you have to think in that point of view. Okay, now once this is done, Then we have float. Right. So float used to store the floating point value. Floating point value, or we can say the decimal point value. If you're having some decimal point, right? So those kind of value you can show. Like I will say float f is equal to, let's say, 20.20. And always remember, for the float, you have to say f at the end. Okay, so it will consider it as a float. Otherwise, what will happen? If I remove, it will immediately give the error. And what kind of error it is? It is saying this particular number, it will by default consider as a double. It will by default consider as a double. So you have to specify this is the float number. Okay, this is the float number, right? And it will store this particular float number. And you can print it as well. Okay, similarly, how we are printing here, right? So I will just copy paste this, and I will say this is the float. This is the float, and I say f is equal to this one, right? So I can run it, and it will print the float number. Okay, now it will not consider this 0 because this is not having any, I mean, meaning that much of value. It's not adding, right? So last 0 it will not print, right? So if I'm having 1, it will print the 1. Okay, so but always remember, if you're having, the float number, it will require the less memory, that is the 4 byte. 4 byte it will require. Okay, similarly, if you want to store little big number and you want to store more accurate decimal point number. So let's say you are having range a little bit more. So let's say you are working for the, any scientific project. So let's say you are working for the NASA, okay, or ISRO, right? So in that case, decimal point number is as well important for you guys, right? So in that case, you are going to store the values in double, where decimal point number is also important, right? So for example, here, if I'm storing the number like this, okay, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, and here as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if I run this particular program, okay, so if you see till here, it's just printed, right? Other value, it's just, suppressed. Okay, it's not taking consideration, right? So in that case, okay, if you are working for the project where decimal point is also much important, right? So in that case, you should use the double. Okay, so double is having quite bigger range. Okay, and it will occupy that particular number. So I will say double d is equal to, let's say, I'll print this, I will add the same number. Okay, so this particular number, and instead of f, I should say here double d. Otherwise, or you can say, you are not giving any f or d here. Okay, if you are giving d, that's fine. If you are not giving d, that is also fine in case of double, right? And if I run this, it will store the value. Sorry, it will print the value. Sorry, I have not printed. So let's print it. How to print? So for that
Sysout.
as well, system.out.println, and for this double d is equal to d. Okay, so I'm going to print double here. Okay, so it's going to print the whole number, right? So see here, it will require the 8 byte. Okay, if required, if you are having that kind of requirement, then only use the double. Otherwise, go with the float. Okay, now next thing that we have is the what we have done with the what byte, short, int, long, float, double. So what is remaining now?
Character.
Character
Character.
and boolean. Okay, so now how to
Boolean.
create the char variable? So for that, you have to say the char c is equal to, so let's say I'm storing one character. So let's say a. I'm storing the a, capital A. Okay, so always remember, you have to give in single quote character always. Character you have to give in a single quote. Okay, and you can print the character with the help of system.out.println, right? So I will say system.out.println, char c is equal to plus c. Here I will do right. And if I print this, it will print the that particular letter A. That particular letter A. But here, as I said, like it is storing the Unicode number, or you can say it is storing the ASCII value. Okay, so ASCII value. If you see ASCII value, these are the ASCII value available here. Okay, what I will do, I'll go here. Okay, just minute. These are the ASCII table available, right? So for capital A, actually it's storing the 64, sorry, 65. It's storing the 65 there, right? So if I do 65 plus 1, how much? If I do here, okay, so let's say A is equal to A plus 1. If I store like this, or if I say like
66.
plus 1 here, okay, A is equal to C is equal to A plus 1.
A.
Okay, now what ASCII value it will generate? From the 65 to 66. Okay, and 66 is the ASCII value for
B.
P, right? So if I run this particular program, it should print the what?
B.
It should print the B, right? If you add 1, 2 here, all right, so it will print the what?
C.
Okay, 65 plus 65 plus 2. Okay, 65
7.
plus 2, it will be 67,
C.
right? 67 is for
value.
the C, so it will print the C. So you have to remember. Now, if I ask you guys, print the A, B, C, D till the Z. Print the A
Oh.
to Z. Okay, character. Is it possible? Is it
Yes.
possible? See,
Yes.
we
Yes,
haven't
sir.
covered the for loop. We haven't covered the for loop yet, right? So it will require one for loop, and with the help of for loop, you can do it, right? We will cover the for loop as well in detail upcoming session, but the people who are knowing the for loop, for them it's easy. Now I'm explaining one program. If you don't know about the for loop, don't worry, I will teach the for loop in detail as well. Okay, so now I want to print the A to Z number. So how to print the, sorry, A to Z letter, right? So anyone want to help me? What I need to do?
So for int I equal to
Okay,
0.
so here, do I need to take the int? Because we are going to deal with the character, right? So what I need to say here? Char. Okay, char. So let's say I'm saying char I is equal to, and I'm storing here A. I'm saying like, start with the A, start from the A. Okay, now second, I have to give the condition. Okay, so here you have to do the initialization. Here you have to give the condition. People who don't know the for loop, don't worry. Okay, I will cover the for loop in detail. Okay, in upcoming session. Okay, so I'll say I less than or equal to what? Z. I want to print
Z.
till the Z. So that's the reason I'm saying Z. And lastly, I'm saying I
I plus
plus
plus.
plus. Okay. Now, what kind of error it's getting? Oh, duplicate logo. See, we have already covered here, right? So where? See, I is here.
Int
So
I.
it's saying this particular variable is duplicate. So instead of this, what I will say, this is my ch. Okay. Instead of this, we can say this is the ch. This is the ch, and this is also ch plus plus. Right. Now that's it. This is the very small program, and this is our first program. System.out.println, and I will print here ch. Okay.
CH.
Right. So if I run this, it should print the ABCD. Okay. If you see, I'll just maximize this. Okay. If you see, it's printing from A to Z. It's a printing from A to Z. So this is very simple, right? Now I will ask you guys to print the letter A to Z, but in small letter, small A to Z. Okay, so this is the assignment for you guys. Print the letters A to Z. Okay, but in small case. Okay, you can use the same technique.
Yep.
Okay, clear?
Sir, we can print also with the initializing C as A and then increment throw in
C as a
increment. First we initialize the character C as A and through for loop we can write int I is equal to 65 and
yes, yes.
through
We
that
we
we
can
can iterate
see.
with.
We can do it with that logic as well. Okay, but it is the easiest way. Okay, so you can say like, I will take here int and I will say like, but in this particular process, it will require the conversion. Okay, why conversion? Because you are saying like int, okay, and you are adding one integer number. You can try it. Okay, let me know what issue you are facing. Okay, you will face the conversion issue in that process. Okay, you have to convert integer to the character and then it will work. Okay, so most of the you are new guys. Okay, you are new with the Java. That's the reason I haven't take that particular process, right? Otherwise that is also possible, but it will require the conversion. That people will ask me, sir, what this particular line you are doing, right? So the conversion process, you till now you don't know the conversion process. That's the reason I'm not covering that particular way. Okay, otherwise
Sir,
any, if you take the any program, there are multiple ways to do it. Okay, you have to think. See, if I'm doing my way, right? So it is my logic, right? It might be possible Rohit's logic will be the different. It might be possible some another people he's having their logic, that logic is different, right? So it's always work in that way. Yes, tell
sir,
me.
what is ASCII code?
ASCII code is standard code available for each and every letter. Okay, so it is we can say that defined by the IEEE organization, right? And this is the standard, and everywhere they are following this. Okay, so this is the computer system. If you learn this, if you go for the any character or any letter, it will have their own ASCII, right? And it is not going to change as per your system, right? So this is predefined and this is always there. Okay.
So in every language that we have programming language, the predefined ASCII code are the
Ask
same.
ASCII, no. For every language, not. It's the standard. It's not language specific. Okay. So if you go for the C, the ASCII standard will be remain same. If you go for the Java, ASCII, these are the ASCII number and it will remain same. If you go for the Python, same ASCII number and this is the same. Okay. It's not going to change as per your programming language. IEEE organization. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So this is not programming language dependent, we can say. Okay.
Yes.
Now, last thing that we have remaining, which one? Boolean. Okay.
Boolean.
Now what I said about the Boolean, what I said about the Boolean, remember?
It will go true or false. It will result in true or false.
Exactly. It will store the true or false. I will say Boolean, let's say BL, right, is equal to, so let's say true. It will store the true. Okay. So remember guys, you don't have to provide here like this. Okay. This will act as a string. This will act as a string. So no need to give the quotes here. No need to provide the single quote. No need to provide the double quote. You just have to say true and false here. Okay. So this is the true value. Okay. If I print this, it will print the true. Right. So let's copy paste this and I'll say here boolean B, boolean BL is equal to BL. Okay. And it will print the true. Right, because we have stored the true, right? So that's the reason it's printing the true, right? Okay, now we have got the idea what is the different data types available. Okay, so these are the 8 primitive data types. Okay, I'm saying primitive data types. So these are the 8 primitive data types available in Java, and we can create the variable on the basis of this primitive data type, and we can print it as well, right? But now if you say, I have said like, default values are also there. At the time of interview, interviewer will give, one variable and he will say like, I have created one variable. Okay, so for example like this, For example, if I'm like printing one variable, so let's say I'm saying like int a, and I'm not defining, I'm not initializing this particular any value. All right. So in that case, what is the output? He will ask, what is the output? What is the value of a print? So some of the people will say it will print the null.
Yeah.
Some of the people will say it will print the undefined. No, it will not print null or undefined. It will print the zero. Why?
Zero.
Because we have
Default value.
default values available for each and every data type. Right. So quickly check. I mean, what I have mentioned there, it is true or false. Okay, or it is I mean, it is really working or not. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I will, this is not required now. So I will, or maybe what I will do, I'll just comment this all. Okay, so commenting means I'm not taking this as a part of execution. Okay, so how to comment? You can select that area which you want to comment, and then you have to say control and slash. Okay, so all this code is commented means now this is the code which are not taking as a part of execution. Okay, now we have commented all the code. Right now, what I said, like, default value, right? We have to print the default value. But see, here is one problem where inside the method, okay, which method? A. And here, if I say like, int a is equal to, I'm not going to print any, I'm not going to assigning any value. And for example, if I'm printing that particular a, immediately it will start giving the error. What error it's giving? It's giving it is not possible to use the local variable. So this is the local variable. What is mean by local variable? I will cover in next slide. Okay, what is mean by local variable? But local variable compulsory you have to provide the value like this. Then and then only you can print it. Okay, so we will not go with the local variable, we'll go with the instance variable. So this particular approach we are not going to use, right? So I will say I'm creating one variable that is the int a, okay, is equal to, not going to print any, I'm not going to assign any value for this particular a, right? Now I want to print the a, but see, I have created here and it's inside this particular method. Now main is the static method, and inside the static method, you can access only static member. Inside the static method, that particular concept as well, we are going to learn in upcoming session when we start with the static. But now how I can access this particular variable inside this particular method? For that, you need to create the object. Okay, so object creation step, I will explain you in later. But here, let's assume I'm creating one object. Okay, so let's say I'm creating data type in Java, obj is equal to new. Okay, so this is the object creation step. I will cover this particular object creation in later, but let's assume I have created one object, and through this object, okay, obj, I'm going to access this particular a.
OBJ.
Okay, I'll say print obj dot
OBJ.
a. Okay, and let's run this. We'll see what happens. Okay, now if you see by default, what it is printing, it's printing
Zero.
0. See, I have not initialized this particular variable, but it's printing what? 0. It's printing the 0. Okay,
Default.
now let's say I have created one, let's say long. Okay, or let's say byte. Okay, so for byte, what will be the default value? 0 again,
Zero.
right? For the long,
Zero.
for the long as well, it is the 0. Okay, if I say like, if I'm having one variable like float, right? Float variable. Okay, so I'm having this particular float. So float default value is what? 0
0.0.
0.0. For double,
0.0.
for the double as well, it will be the 0.0. For double as well, it will be the 0.0. Okay. Now, what is remaining, right? So let's say character.
Character.
Okay. So if I print for the character, okay, what it is
Null.
printing? It is not
Null.
null.
Nothing.
It's printing nothing. But actually, it's not printing nothing. What it is printing? See, if I go here, okay, so this is my initial position. Okay, my printing start from here. And if I press the arrow, it is going next. But now again, I'm pressing the arrow. It is not going next, it is going to the new line. So see, this is something it has printed. What we can call this particular thing? We can say the space is printed here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so if you are not for the character, if you are not initializing, or it's not, if you are not giving any value, it will print the what? Space. So this is called as the space. Okay, so this is the space, right? And last one for the boolean, right? So for the boolean, we'll check. Okay. Boolean, and if I'm not giving any value to the boolean, what it will print by default?
False.
It will print by default false. Okay, so that's it. This particular chart is very important. You can take the screenshot of this particular chart and you can do the correct. So first assignment, you have to print the letter A to Z in small case, right? Second assignment, you should exercise what is the default value and how to create the variables of or data types of each of this type.
Okay.
Okay, can you do it
Yes.
tomorrow? Okay, perfect.
Data type of what's up?
Now,
Second
sorry.
one. So what is the second one that you told? Data type for each type. I mean, we
That
have
means
to print, right?
see what we have printed here. We have printed, like, we have created one boolean variable, sorry, byte variable, and we have printed that byte variable.
Yeah.
So we have created one short variable and we have printed that particular or int variable, right? So you have to do the, I mean, create data type of each and every type, and you have to print it. You have to create the variable of each and every data type and you have to print it. Okay, that's it. Okay. Some of the people is already aware, they have been done, I mean, 1,000 times of they have created data types, right? Them as well, you can do the practice. Okay, if you are comfortable, you can, I mean, don't do it. Okay, but if you are not comfortable with the Java language, then first thing, it is very important, you have to practice all these things. Okay, clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next slide. What are the different data types available? Types of data type. First one is the
Primitive
primitive,
and
and
non-primitive.
second one is the non-primitive. Okay. So now we have covered the primitive. Okay. Now, what is meant by non-primitive data type? Okay, non-primitive data type. So in non-primitive category, these are the 5 data types came. Okay. So first one is the string. Second one is the array. Third one is the class. Fourth one is the interface, and fifth one is the enum. So these are the 5 non-primitive data types available in the Java. 5 non-primitive data types available in the Java. Right. Now, so these 5 data types we're going to cover later. Okay. Why? Because if you see the string is a huge topic. Okay. It will require at least 2 sessions to complete the string. For the array, it will require at least 1 session to complete. For the class, it will require, let's say, 1 hour to complete. For the interface, it will require at least 2 to 3 sessions to complete. Right. For the enum, it will require, let's say, hardly half an hour. Right. So each of these data type, we are going to have separate sessions. Right. So we are not going to cover all these non-primitive data types. So we'll just have the short summary of this particular. Later on, we'll cover in detail all these non-primitive data types. Right. So first non-primitive data types that we have, that is the string. Okay, what exactly it will store? It will store the character sequence. Okay, it will store the character sequence. So how to create the string? So let's say I'm going to create one string. So how to create the string? So you have to say the string s is equal to, let's say you are going to add some values. So let's say Ajay, and you are going to store like this. Right. So this is the string. Okay. Then next we have array. Right. So in array, we are going to store the similar type of data. In array, you are going to store the similar type of data. Similar means if I'm storing integer, I'm going to store only integer. If I'm going to store float, I'm going to store only float number. Okay, but how many? Depending on size, what size of array we have created. So always remember, arrays are fixed in size. Arrays are fixed in size. That we will cover later how and what. Okay, and it will store the number in sequential fashion. Sequential fashion means if I'm adding the first number, it will store the first index, or we can say the zeroth index. If I'm adding the second number, it will store first index. Okay, if I'm adding the third number, it will add the on the second index. So it will store in sequential fashion. So what we can say, array is the collection of number. Array is the collection of number we can store. Okay, then we have the class. Okay, so what is meant by class? It is the template used to create the object. This particular topic as well we are going to cover in detail later on. Fourth one that we have interfaces. What is interfaces? It is having collection of abstract method. What is meant by abstract method? We'll cover this later. Okay, but as of now, just remember it will be having collection of abstract method. Okay, and for enum, we are going to store the fixed set of values. What kind of fixed set of values? We'll cover this later. But as of now, in this particular slide, what you have to remember, there are 5 non-primitive data types available in Java. There are 5 non-primitive data types available in Java. Which are those? String, array, class, interface, and enum. These are the 5 non-primitive data types available inside the Java. In Java, there are two types of data types. Okay, first one is the primitive, and second one is the non-primitive. In primitive, we have 8 data types. Okay, in non-primitive, we have 5 data types. Right? Clear for everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, Ajay.
once we're done with the variable, next topic that we have is, sorry, we have completed the data types, and next topic we have variable. Now variable, almost now we have get the idea of variable. Variable is what? Variable is one container. Inside that container, we are going to store the value. Okay, inside that container, we are going to store the value. So can anyone tell me how to create variable? So for the variable, first of all, you have to provide the type of that variable. So let's say I'm saying int, and you have to
Yeah,
say the variable name. Okay, so this is the variable
it's
name,
equal to
and then you have to provide the some value.
value.
You have to provide the some value. Okay, now if I'm saying I'm creating one variable, so let's say int, and I'm not assigning the value. So what it is called as? This is called as the
In
what? Declaration. This particular step is called as the declaration. Okay, suppose if you are creating one variable, okay, if you are creating one variable, that particular process is called as the declaration. If you are creating one variable, that particular process is called as the declaration. So I'm declaring one variable. Here I can say I have declared one variable. I have declared one variable. So this is called as the declaration. Okay. Now, if you are doing like this, int a is equal to, let's say 10. Int a is equal to, let's say 10. What you are exactly doing here? You are initializing the value as well. So this particular step is called as the what?
initialize.
Initialization. This is called
Initialize.
as the initialization. Okay. Now, in whenever I'm doing the initialization, see here I am declaring and here I am initializing. Equal to means I am initializing. So here I am doing declaration as well as initialization. So in this particular step, I am doing the declaration as well as initialization as well. Okay, declaration as well as initialization. So anyone can ask, I mean, someone can have question like, is it possible to have, only initialization? Yes, it is possible. So here I have created variable, right? On next line, I can say, I have, declare one variable. See, I have declared one variable. On next line, you can say like, a is equal to 20. So here, this particular step, is called as the initialization. This is called as the initialization. Okay, so this is called as the declaration. this is called as the initialization, and this is called as the declaration and initialization. Both are there. Okay, so this part is the declaration, and this part is the initialization. This particular highlighted part as a initialization. So basically, this is the declaration, this is the initialization, and here we are doing both declaration as well as initialization. Okay, any doubt on declaration and initialization?
No, sir.
No doubt. Okay, now next slide we have type of variable. Okay, type of variable. Now I have said, like, we can create the variable, but there are three types of variable available. Okay, so first variable type is the local variable. Second type of variable is the instance variable, and third type of variable is the static variable. Okay, so this is the first type. So let's correct this one. This is the second. Okay, I'll update this later on. I think there is okay, and this is the third one. This is the third type. Okay, so these are the three types available. I will update this. Okay, but this is the three types. Okay, this is the three types. Okay, first one is what? First one is what? Local variable. Second one is what? Instance variable. And third one is the static variable. So these are the three types of variables available in Java. Okay. Now what is mean by local variable? Okay. So let's go through the local variable definition. What it is saying, if you are saying any variable as a local variable, that means that particular variable is declared inside the method. It is declared inside the method. Okay, declaration you already know, right? So if you are creating any variable inside the method, this particular variable is called as the local variable. Okay, now scope of this particular variable is inside method only. The scope of this particular variable is inside the method only. Now, what is meant by scope? Can anyone tell me what is meant by scope? Anyone knows what is meant by scope?
So scope basically the variable value which is used inside that method, and after that the value will be changed. I mean, what we have defined if a equal to 5 in that particular method, and which is available a equal to 5 in that particular method. After that,
Okay.
we have to define
Okay.
another value in
Okay.
the different method.
Okay. Scope means take it simple. Okay. So see, uh, I'm working for example, XYZ organization. Okay. And there is one more colleague which is working on with me as well. Okay. So what we did, we have taken one area. Okay. In that area, I will work. Okay. And there is one second area as well available. And in second area, my friend will work. Okay. Or my colleague will work. Okay. So we have separate areas where I will work and where he will work. Okay. Now, my friend came to me and he saying, okay, this particular thing you are not doing well. Right. So what I will say, dude, this is not in your area. This is not in your scope. So stay away. Right. So I have specific area where I will work. That is coming in my scope. Okay. And he is having special area. Okay. Where he will work. Okay. So there I should not go. Right. So scope means we can say area. Scope means we can say area. So my friend is having this area. So his scope in only this area. So for example, from this to this, his area is available. So his scope is inside this area. Okay, I am working here in different area. So let's say from this bracket to this bracket, my area is there. Right. So I am working in this particular area. So my scope is here only. Right. So this particular concept is called as the scope. Scope means as of now, you can say the area, which area I have to work and which area I have to my friend is work. Okay, so now here what it is saying, scope is inside the method. Scope is inside the method. So let's do one thing. Okay, create one method. Okay, so let's say I want to create one method. Okay, how to create the method? We have seen yesterday, right? How to create method? So let's say I'm creating a method m and which is not returning anything. Okay, so let's say that method is void. I'm going to create one method m. Okay, and this is the method. Okay, this is the m method I have created. Okay, so let's declare one variable inside the method m. So let's say int a is equal to, let's say, 20. Okay, and I have created this particular variable a is equal to 20. Now what I'm saying, if you are saying any variable as a local variable, that variable should be inside the method. So now this variable is inside the method. Yes, because the see method start from here and method end here, right? So with this bracket method start and with this bracket method end. So now if variable is inside these two bracket, this is called as the local variable. This is inside the method, right? So this is the local variable, right? Now what is the special about this particular variable? This particular variable is having scope within the method. Now what is mean by method within the method? So see method body start from here and method body end here. So in this area from here to here in this area only scope of this particular variable available. That means I can use this particular variable within this area. I can print this variable is in this area, but outside this area, this particular variable is not accessible. Outside this particular area, this particular variable is not accessible. Why? Because this particular variable is local variable and local variables will be having access within the method only. Local variable will have access within the method only. Clear? What is local variable? Local variable is the variable which is declared inside the method. Variable which is declared inside the method is called as the local variable. Okay. Now this particular variable will have scope within the method only. This particular variable is having the scope within the method only. Okay. So let's do go on Eclipse and here I will create one method. Okay. So I will create one more class. So let's say class new, and I'll say variable in Java. I will create the public static void main. So for each and every topic, we will create the separate class. Okay. Why? Because I will share this with a GitHub repo. Okay, so you can download from there and you can, I mean, see what we have done in this particular topic. What are the different programs we have done in this particular topic, right? So I'll share with you guys as well my GitHub repo, right? So now what I said, like, I have to create one method. So how to create method? So I will say void m. This is my method, right? Okay, what is m? M is the name of the method. Okay, I can give anything, right? So I given the m is my one method. Okay, now I want to create one local variable. So local variable, what is the condition for the local variable? Local variable should be having inside the method, should be declared inside the method. So I'm saying, like, a is equal to, let's say, 20. This is my local variable. And what I said about the local variable, you should access this particular variable within the method. Okay, so scope is in between this area from here to here. Okay, within this blue highlighted area, I can access the local variable only. Okay, so let's do it. If I'm saying, like, a here. Okay, I'm not giving any error here. I'm not getting any error here. Okay, so let's create one more method. Okay, so where I will say void and method name is m2. M2 is my another method. And in this particular method, if I'm saying, like, system.out.print and I'm printing the A. Now immediately I'm giving one error. I'm getting one error. What is the error? It's saying, like, A cannot be resolved as a variable. So this particular method is saying, see, I don't know any variable is available with the A. Okay, so you are saying print A, but there is, I don't know what is the A. Because for this particular area or for this particular method, A is not available, or they are not aware of A. Why? Because A scope is in between only this blue highlighted area. A is having scope within this blue highlighted area only. So this is about the local variable. Okay. Now third point is on the local variable. when exactly this local variable will get memory? Okay, so local variable will get memory as soon as this method will get called. This method will get called. Now, what is meant by called? Okay, so for example, our code, our execution will start from this only main method, right? So if I want to call this particular method within the main method, how I am going to call? First of all, I'm going to create the object. Okay, why this is so? I will tell you. Okay, in upcoming session, because this is the static method, and in static method, you can access only static method directly. Okay, and our method is the non-static because it's not having any static variable here. If it is static, then I can access directly, but it is not static, right? So I have to go through the object. So I will say static variable obj. So this is the object creation, new static variable, right? And I will say obj dot, okay, m. Okay, so now as of now I haven't called the I haven't called the m method. Now as of now I haven't called the main method, sorry, m method, right? I just created one object. I just created one object, right? So till the point he or this particular variable will not get the memory. Okay, how much memory it will get? Anyone? It is a int, so how much memory it will get?
4 byte.
4 byte. But when this 4 byte will get, he will get when this particular method is called. And as of now, we haven't
Call.
called this particular method,
Call
right?
the method.
So how to call? You have to say object
Dot m method name.
dot m. Okay, object dot method name. Now this particular step is called as the I have called this method. I have sorry, m method is called here. M method is called. M method is called here. Okay, which method is called?
M.
M method is called here. Okay, M method is called here. So this is called as the calling statement. This is called as the calling statement. So I'm calling M method here. Okay, so as soon as this particular statement is executed, as soon as this particular statement is executed, this particular variable will get memory. Okay, this particular variable will get memory. Okay, so this is about the local variable. So 3 points you have to tell about the local variable at the time of interview. If interviewer asking you what is mean by local variable, so you have to say local variable declared inside the method. Local variable is having scope inside the method only, and local variable will get the memory as soon as we call method execution start, and it will deallocate the memory as well as soon as method execution is end. So in this particular line, so line number 55, method execution will end, right? So it will deallocate memory as well. Clear? Clear about the local variable? Anyone is having any doubt on local variable? Anyone?
No,
So
sir.
VS. No. So what is
No,
what
sir.
is your name? VS?
Vipin, sir. Vipin.
Vipin. Sorry.
Vipin.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So fine. Okay. So this is called as the local variable. Now, second type of variable, as I said, like what is the second type of variable? Instance variable. Now what it is? Okay. So let's read first line. Okay. Instance variable is declared inside the class. Okay. And outside the method. Okay. So here requirement is variable should inside the class. Okay. But outside the method. Inside the class and outside the method, right? And scope is within the class only. Scope is within the class. Scope is within the class. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, and here we will create one variable. Okay, so in Eclipse, suppose I'm creating one variable. So let's say int b I'm creating here. All right, int b I'm creating here. Int b is equal to, let's say, 20. Okay, so this is the class variable, or this is the, sorry, this is the instance variable. or not? Guys, this is local variable, right? Why? Because we are
Yes.
creating inside the
Correct.
method. This is the local variable because this is inside the method M2. So what I told about the instance variable, that instance variable is inside
Inside the
the
class.
class, but outside the method.
Outside.
So this is the area of method. This is the area of method, and this is also one method. So my variable should outside all these three methods. So what I will do, I'll create one variable here and I will say int. So let's say I will say like, variable name is like, um, uh, let's say C. C is my instance variable. Okay, or I will give the some value to the C as well. Okay, I'll give the some value to the C as well. So now this particular variable is called as the what? Instance variable. Why? Because see, my class is started here. Okay, so this is the starting of the class and my class is ending here. Okay, line number 23, my class is ending. Okay, so if from here to here, my class area is available. Okay, so from this blue highlighted area, my class scope is there. Okay, in blue highlighted area is my class area. Okay, or class scope. Okay, now if you see, I'm creating this particular variable inside the class. This particular variable is declared inside the class. But if you see, it is not inside the any method. It is not inside the any method. So this variable is called as the instance variable. So this particular variable is called as the instance variable. Okay, so this kind of variable is called as the instance variable. Okay, now what is the special about this instance variable? It is having the scope inside the class only.
Class.
Okay, so see this method M is coming where? Inside the class. This method M2 is coming where? Inside the class. This particular main method is coming where? Inside the class. So within these all three methods, I can access this C variable. So let's do it. Okay, so I will say system.out.println and I will say C, print the C. So I'm not getting any error, which is absolutely fine, right? So if I'm saying like, M2 method, so I'm saying like, system.out.println and I'm printing the C, right? I'm not getting any error absolutely here, right? So that means I'm able to access C within the class anywhere. Okay, so see in main method, I cannot access directly because main is the static method and this particular variable is non-static variable. So there is some rules available. I will come with those rules when we start with the static keyword. I'm not saying static variable, static keyword. When we start with the static keyword, at that time, I will tell you detailed rule. Okay, where we can access what. Okay, but as of now, just remember, if you are having instance variable, we can create within the class, but outside the method, and scope is within the class. So we have seen like, in class anywhere I can able to access this particular variable. Okay, now when this particular variable will get the memory, when as soon as object
When
is getting
object is
created,
created.
when as soon as object is getting created. See, our execution will happen like this. Okay, execution start with always from where? Which method
Main
execution
method.
start?
Main method.
It will start from
Main
the main
method.
method, right? So it will start from the here, and then first line it will execute this one. That means object will getting created on this particular line number 8. Object is getting created. Now, as soon as this particular line is executed, as soon as this particular line is getting executed, this particular variable is going to get the memory. Okay, so as soon as this particular line is executed, this particular variable will get the memory. Will get the memory. So this is about the your instance variable. Okay.
In
Now, apart from the instance variable, there is one more variable available, or one more variable type is available. That is the static variable. That is the static variable. Now, what is static variable? So static variable is the variable with the keyword static. The variable which is declared with the static keyword, which is inside the class. Okay, and outside the method. Now, if you see this particular statement, okay, and this particular statement is same. Okay, now static variable is as well inside the class and outside the method only, but it is having only static. This is having static keyword. So we can create this particular variable here itself. Okay, here itself. Okay, but it should have static keyword. Okay, so I will
static
say
keyword.
int S
That
is equal to, let's say, 30. But before that, I have to say static.
that
Before that, I have to say the static. Then this particular keyword consider this particular variable is considered as a static variable. This particular variable is considered as a static variable. Now, what is the special about this static keyword? What is the scope of this particular variable? Okay, so this particular scope variable is having scope within the class. So within the class, anywhere we can access. So I will say system.out.s. I'm not getting error. That means it is absolutely fine. Okay, I can access there. System.out.print. I can print yes here and I'm not getting error. That means I am able to access here as well. So within the class, I can access anywhere. Okay. And even here, so see, this is the static, this is the static, you can access directly, right? So see, if I say system.out.println and I'm saying like, yes, I'm not going to get any error, right? So within the class, I can access the static variable anywhere. Okay, within the class only. So this is similar to this. This is similar to this only. Only difference is that you are having static variable. Okay.
keyword.
Now, yeah, you are having only static keyword. That's correct. Right. Now, see, whenever I'm saying like, creating the variable like this is called as the instance. Okay. This is called as the instance. Okay. Now, whenever I'm saying instance, which is related to your object, whenever instance keyword is I'm using, whenever I'm using the instance keyword, I'm going to use the instance multiple time. Okay, as from now onward. Okay, now whenever I'm saying instance, someone like if I'm saying instance method, so this method is related to your object. So whenever I'm saying like instance variable, so this is related to your object. So that's the reason I said as soon as object is getting created, this particular variable will get memory. So this is related to your what? Object. This
Object.
is related to your object. And whenever I'm saying static, which is related to your what?
Class.
Which is related
Class.
to your class. Exactly. Which is related to your class. Okay. Whenever I'm going to use the static, which is related to your class. Okay. This is very important. If I'm saying something instance, which is related to your object, and if you're saying static, which is related to your class. Okay. Now, when exactly this particular variable will get the memory? Here I'm saying as soon as my variable is gets loaded inside the class. Now when I'm saying like when this particular variable or when this particular class is going to load inside the main memory. Okay, so if you remember previously I have taken one diagram. Okay, what is this diagram is about? We are seeing like
Class
class
loaded.
loader,
Yeah.
class
Loader.
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 Correct, class
Class
loader,
loader.
right? So what this class loader will do? It will dynamically load the class
Yeah.
inside the main memory.
Alex.
It is dynamically load the class inside the memory. So first, let's say class A execution is started, right? So what it will do? It will load this particular class from here to here. So see,
Yeah.
from here to this particular class will get loaded here. All right. Okay. It will get loaded here. Right. Now, as soon as execution is finished, right, from here, okay, it will remove from here.
Remove.
Okay, again, it will remove from here. Okay, from the main memory. Now, for example, class B execution is started. So again, it will load this particular B inside the main memory. And once the execution is finished for this particular class, it will again remove, right? So this particular process is called as the dynamic loading of the class, which is done by your class loader. Okay. Now what I'm saying, as soon as this any class, okay, for example, class A, it will get loaded inside the main memory. If it is having any static variable available inside that particular class, that particular static variable will get the memory. Okay. So in our case, okay, whenever this particular class is going to load inside the main memory, okay, at that time, this particular variable, it's not depending on your object. It's not depending on your, execution of method. Whenever this particular class is going to load inside the main memory, at that time it will it will get the memory. This particular guy will get the memory. Clear? So see, this is not only difference between the your instance variable and static variable. I will give one program, okay, and I will explain the difference between instance variable and static variable. But for that, static keyword topic is there. Okay, within that topic, I will do the detailed postmortem of this particular keyword, where to apply, when to apply, how to apply, and what benefits will get when you are applying the static keyword. Okay, we will do the detailed postmortem of that only. Okay, so as of now, you just remember this three point for each and every variable. Okay, so local variable inside the method, scope is within the method only, and it will get the memory when method it gets called, and it will get deallocate the memory when method execution is in end. Okay, so instance variable, it will inside the class only. Scope is within the class. When object is getting created, it will get the memory. Okay, and for the static keyword, sorry, static variable, okay, it is inside the class and outside the method only. Okay, only having the static keyword. Okay, scope is within the class, and as soon as your class is getting load, it will get loads only. Okay, so sorry, it will get the memory. Barabar. Okay, it will get the memory. Okay, as soon as it will get loaded inside the main memory, it will get the memory. Okay, so this is about the your variable. So these are the three main types of variable. Okay,
Sir,
with this, yeah, please.
sir, when we define our class, so class, then it will acquire the memory.
Sorry.
When we declare our class
Mm-hmm.
with the variable and method, does it allocate the memory?
So you are saying like if you are creating this particular class, right? So if it is
We
required any
just
memory
define
or
the structure of the class.
right, then it will
Then
not
it will
require. Then it will not require the memory. See, now once execution is started, right? So execution is started, and in that case, for example, I have created one object here, right? So once that object is created, what it means by object is created, now this particular is method execution is started, okay, and this particular line is getting executed. Then only this particular variable will get memory. Okay, once the
so
execution of
if we define the object, then the class will allocate the memory, right?
see, for the instance variable, this is for the instance variable. Okay, for the static variable, when see when execution before the execution started for this particular class, it will be get loaded first. Okay, so so who, I mean, this is the general question for everyone. Okay, I'm having, let's say instance variable, and I'm having static variable. So who will get the memory first?
Static variable.
Static variable.
Static variable will get memory first. Why? Because see, if I want to execute any method in that, okay, so first what step will do? It will go and load that particular class inside the main memory. So as soon as that particular class is loading inside the main memory, this particular guy will get memory. So it will get first memory, and then it will go to the public static void main, and then it will execute this particular line number 9. Okay, now if it is executing line number 9, then and then only this particular variable will get memory.
Instant variable.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, next step, it will go to the line number 10. Line number 10, you are executing one method. So as soon as the execution of this particular method is started, then this particular guy will get memory.
Local
Okay, that is the
variable.
local variable. Okay, so this is the difference between local instance and static variable. Clear?
Means sir, when we executing that class, then
Mhm.
it will acquire the memory in the main memory, right?
Correct.
It will load. The class loader will load only when we execute that class.
Correct. So for example, I'm going to execute this particular method, right? For that, I will create the object of this particular class, right? So for you are want to execute this particular method, then it will load this particular class into the main memory. Then this particular guy will get memory. this particular guy, static. Okay. Now object is getting created, then this particular guy. So it's depend on how what sequence you are executing the different things. On that basis, it will depend when and how you will get the memory.
And sir, static variable allocate memory when we declare.
Static variable,
When the
right? This one.
class is loaded, I think.
Correct. Class, when the class is loaded inside the main memory,
Loading.
then static variable will get the memory.
Okay.
Okay. Class loading means you got right. So this is the main memory. Inside this memory, it will load the different class. At a time, how many class it will load? Main memory at a time, how many class it will have? Only single class.
Wow.
Okay. Only single class will be available inside the main memory. So for example, I'm starting with the execution of class A, right? So class A will get loaded inside the memory. And as soon as execution is done, it will remove from the main memory. So now class B execution is started. So class B is loaded inside the main memory. And as soon as execution of this class is done, so class B is removed from the main memory. So this is continuously happen. Okay. And depending on that, your instance variable is allocated, deallocated the memory. Sorry, instance saying I'm saying like static variable.
Static.
Clear? This is clear for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Shweta, Rohi,
Yes, sir.
Rohit.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So I think this is about the today's session. Okay, and this is last demo. Okay, if you want to enroll, I will share the payment details on group. Okay, you can pay the fee. Okay, then I will add you to different WhatsApp group. Okay, so where I will share the regular batches details from the 3rd June onward. Okay.
Hi Ajay, I'm Rohi. So I have some questions regarding the classes, and can I message to you personally, like in WhatsApp?
Yeah, sure. We can have WhatsApp call in that case. Okay,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'll share. We'll discuss that thing with you. Okay.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.
So what are
Any
string literals? Anything about literals?
sorry.
Literals in I mean in the variable declaration,
Mhm.
the literals equal
Liter
to 10.
literals will
Yes.
cover. Okay, in upcoming session I will tell you literals and
Okay.
all.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you then. Okay. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Uh, hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, I joined a bit late. So what we have discussed so far about the data type and
Okay.
these
So
things,
what I
right?
will do, I will stop the sharing. Sorry, I will stop the recording now, and I'll tell you what we have covered.
Okay.